Greetings everybody, RetroIndieGamer here with my next plug-and-play review. This time on the Super Pac-Man plug-and-play. Once again brought to us by our friends over at Jakk Pacific. Now, I know, Pac-Man. What is there to say about Pac-Man that hasn't already been said over the past several decades? And the game's importance to gaming as a whole. The answer? Not a whole lot, unfortunately. Now, as for this plug-and-play itself, it probably shouldn't take terribly long to cover this because there are only 4 games on here. Well, more like 3.5, but all the games are actually fun on here. And as I said, there's really not a whole lot to say about Pac-Man that hasn't already been said in the last 36 years or so. Well, let's take a look at these games. The first game on the plug-and-play is the original Pac-Man. And seriously, what is there to say about other than eat pellets, avoid ghosts, eat ghosts, watch funny cutscenes? One of the greatest games ever made. If you haven't already, play it! Play and enjoy watching Pac-Man run from Linky, Inky, Pinky, and the orange ghost who seems to keep changing his or her name between games. It's supported just about every system imaginable over the years, been in various collections, and has had a good run. Well, except for the unfinished alpha build known as the Atari 2600 version. Stay away from that one! The next game on the collection is Pac-Man Plus, which is basically the same thing as the original Pac-Man, just with some slight modification. As you can see, the maze is green instead of blue, and there's a soda can instead of fruit. Flags also appear when you eat a power pellet, and there are times when only a few of the ghosts turn blue instead of all of them upon eating a pellet. The game is essentially a harder and slightly modified Pac-Man, as if the original game isn't hard enough, as it is, so there's little more to say about this one. Next up is arguably the main game on this plug-and-play, Super Pac-Man. I say that mainly because the name of the plug-and-play itself is Super Pac-Man, indicating the programmers knew that this would be the main game played in the collection. What is Super Pac-Man, you might ask? Well, it's the first Pac-Man sequel that was developed by Namco, with Ms. Pac-Man being made by Midway. Long story there. You're still trying to avoid the ghosts like in the previous games, but in this one, you're trying to get through gates, open them either by opening the right key, or eating green pellets to become Super Pac-Man and just bite through them, watching the ghosts become stretched out, which is an awful lot of fun. Playing Super Pac-Man, that is. You'll encounter various items, ranging from bananas, to eggs, to pies, to shoes. Yes, shoes. It also has one of the funniest cutscenes I've ever seen, where the ghosts are chased after Pac-Man, and they're like, oh crap, as he becomes Giant Pac-Man. If you can't tell already, I love this game, and to me, it's tied at the original classic. The final game in the collection is called pac&pal, a rather obscure Pac-Man game in the West, given that it was a Japanese exclusive for so long. The game itself is fairly similar to Super Pac-Man, only instead of collecting keys to release the gates, you're collecting cards instead to unlock the gates around certain items to get. You also get help from a little green character, your pal, who collects items for you. You can take the items from your pal to get extra points while, as if this is a surprise, running away from the ghosts. Now you may think at first that there is no way to eat the ghosts here, which is true, but there is a way to stun them that I didn't know about until years later, mainly because it involves the fire button, where no previous Pac-Man game did, other than for starting the game. While looking at this footage, you may have noticed items from other Namco games, such as the ship from Galaxian and the car from Rally X. Therein lies the way to stun the ghosts. Take one of these items and press the fire button for a few attacks. A tractor beam with the Galaxian ship, which causes them to spin out, and a cloud of dust from the car to stun them. That's something I really wish I've known as a kid. After looking at the games, would I recommend this plug-and-play to anyone? Maybe not this particular device, but the games on it, I could not recommend more, and they've all been ported elsewhere over the years, with Pac-Man ending up on just about every system imaginable. I mean, name a system, there's probably a version of Pac-Man on a system that you can play. As for the other free, Pac-Man Plus, as I already mentioned, is basically the original Pac-Man with a few tweaks, so not a lot of reasons to poor vet the other systems. Now, Super Pac-Man and Pac-and-Pal have ended up ported to a few systems, and have ended up in a few collections, and some recent ones too. Because I believe that it's available on collection. Both of the games are available on collections on the 360, PS3, possibly even Steam, and I think maybe on the PlayStation store too. And I need to look into that. And I also heard there's a version of Pac-and-Pal where the pal is replaced by Pac-Man's dog from the cartoon, which I definitely need to look into at some point. Well, that's the end of what I can say about this plug and play. And gosh, there's only one left, isn't there, in this basket here I have down here, or at least plug and play as I'm willing to cover. And that is the Sega Genesis one. And this should be a lot of fun to cover. Now, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe and follow me on Twitter for the latest updates on videos and streams. Well, until next time, everybody.